Henrik, welcome to the IGF AGM 2020.
Thank you.
Over the last decade, there has been increasing momentum behind automation, robotics, and digitalization in mining. What have been the drivers behind this development, would you say?
I think there have primarily been two drivers. The first one has been safety. Safety has been a driver for a long time, and the more technology that comes along and allows for more safety, the more gets adopted. And the second one is productivity. Productivity, if you look at mining historically, if you take it from 2000 and onwards until 2012, productivity in mining actually went down. In 2012, it magically turned around, and a lot of that has been driven by more technology in mining that has allowed for continuous improvement of productivity.
And Western Australia has been the learning ground for this. But then Sandvik designed the first fully autonomous operation in Mali, of all places, the Syama mine. Tell me about this operation and how it works.
Well, first, I would like to politely disagree with you. I think in Western Australia, there's been a lot of development for automation in surface mining. Again, underground mining has been more spread around the world in Australia, but also in a lot of other places. We deployed our first automation system in the El Teniente mine, which is owned by Codelco in Chile. And we've deployed in a number of places, including Australia, but also including Europe and Southern Africa, and then obviously South America since then. Now, Syama in Mali is a good case in point but really the development comes in steps, and we add features, we add functionality to the automation system.
Do you see a difference between developed and developing countries in adopting new technology?
There are bigger differences between different mining companies and different mines than there are between different nations. The mines and the companies that have an advantage are those that are willing to embark on a long journey of deploying automation. It's not at the flick of a switch. It takes time, and it's a different way of operating, and so you need technology, but you also need people to run that technology effectively and plan for using an automated system, which is different from using a more manual system which you can run more on the fly.
Technical development and innovation have led the way, but the broader rolling out across the industry seems to be taking time. Why is the implementation slower than the innovation?
Let me divide this into two parts. We have one digitalization element, which is so I'll use my own definition. So when we put more and more sensors on equipment and collect more data, or also on people, so we know where all the people are, there it's going faster because it's less of a production risk. When we move over to automating equipment or electrifying equipment, this is production critical equipment. If it doesn't run, the mine doesn't produce, and it loses a lot of money. And that creates a very natural hesitation to try new technology. So even though it works in a laboratory or as a pilot product, how can I be sure that it's going to work when I put 3, 5, or 10 of these machines underground in my mine?
So let's now move on and look at COVID and the global event that is. COVID-19 is defining new trends in the industry and society. Is the pandemic accelerating automation and technological development, would you say?
I think it will, but it hasn't yet. So in the very short term, when there's a lot of uncertainty, which the pandemic has brought, then companies and people tend to pull on the brake. But we are forced to learn new ways of doing things. We are forced to learn how to bring expertise and service machines remotely. We are forced to learn how to commission machines and also automation systems remotely. And this will over time speed up the development. So in the very short term, so we talk in the months of so far of 2020, the deployment has not sped up. But going forward, I'm confident it will.
Einstein said, in the midst of every crisis lies great opportunity. What industry will surface at the other end of this global pandemic, do you think?
That's a big question, and I'll narrow it down to the context and scope of mining. I think we will see new technologies for doing things remotely. We will see I mentioned these virtual or tools for virtual reality to allow technical expertise to be deployed from a remote site. I think we'll see more of that. I think we will see companies accept and be willing to try new technology faster. And with that, we will see some new technologies in the mining sphere that gets tried and actually then in what has historically been a more conservative industry, I think they will take off a little bit faster. We recently signed a partnership agreement with a drone company for using drones underground to map the mine and do route planning for automated vehicles. So this is something we used to do driving around with either a normal vehicle or a loader, and scanning the mine and trying to figure out which was the best route. Now we can do that with drones. It's a lot cheaper, it's a lot faster, it's better for everybody.
More robots mean less jobs. And unless something is done about it, local communities will lose out. In your view, how should the industry respond to this looming problem?
Two views on that. One thing is I think there's more that we can do to engage local communities, and we have a lot of efforts in that area, and we will have more. And to engage, and there will always be a need, I think, in the foreseeable future. So let's say the next 50 years of a lot of people to service the equipment and make sure that it runs. Because when they run, you have production. If they don't, you have no production. The second thing that happens if we have mines that are making money, that produces money in the local community, that when jobs disappear, others come along. We've seen that in a lot of different places. In my home country, in Sweden, we've closed down a lot of military facilities and been afraid that towns and cities would die, but they've actually blossomed. And people have found other jobs because they're entrepreneurs. So if we can also, as we do this, enable entrepreneurship in the local communities, I think we will create more jobs.
And what do we know about the skills that these new technologies will require?
It's more computer skills and less hands-on handyman type of skills.
So there is a mismatch now in the skills available and the skills that these technologies will require.
Yes, but at the same time, the technology is deployed again step by step, and so this is not happening overnight. So we have plenty of time to develop these skills with existing employees and recruiting new ones. So I don't see that as a massive challenge. Obviously, it will be a bottleneck sometimes. We see that when in our own automation team that we're recruiting and we're trying to find these really capable engineers with a focus on computers and programming, and there's a lot of demand for those young people. So we have to compete for them. We need to be able to show to them that we're a cool place to be.
Henrik, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.